네, 계속해서 파트너 세션 소개해 드리겠습니다. 이번 파트너 세션은 플래티넘 파트너 세션입니다. 시게이트의 글로벌 프리세일스 앤 비즈니스 디벨롭먼트 데니림님의 엣지 컴퓨팅 시대의 영상 보안 혁명이라는 주제로 진행됩니다. Following session is Platinum Partner Session. DannyLim, Global Pre-Sales and Business Development of Seagate. The title is Evolution of Video Surveillance in Era of Edge Computing. Please welcome him with a warm applause. 여러분 박수로 환영해 주시기 바랍니다.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Danny from Seagate. It's a great pleasure to be back here to Innodep Solution Conference. And as you know, today I'm going to cover in my session about the evolutions of video surveillance in the era of edge computing. In a lot of our session today, we heard about a few buzzwords, a few keywords that constantly being highlighted. We talk about AI, edge, IoT, cloud computing, big data. And those are the things that I will probably give you a lot more perspective in my presentation today. So the point is the data is going to grow. And from one of the survey that we did last year with IDC, and this report is actually available online that you can go and download it. The point that I want to make is in the next few years, by 2025, we expect to see the data that created to be growing to 163 zettabytes. That's 10 times the growth of what data would be growing. And this is tremendous because the data is created today by a lot of devices, not from only phones or anything, but there are a lot more devices that will be creating data. And the whole industry, whether it's the hard drive or whether it's SSD or a lot more storage medium, will not be able to cater to this growth. So the point is, one of the things that we identify that is really going to be very different compared to previously was really the data that will be generated and created will be mostly from commercial, and a lot of this will be coming from IoT devices and surveillance, obviously. So I want to bring you to evolution, sharing with you the view that we've seen for the past few decades, right? So everybody know mainframe, right? From mainframe, it evolves to server client architecture. Just 10 years ago, right, people started talking about mobile computing or cloud computing. But with all the devices out there today and sensors out there that will be connected to internet, the next wave of change is going to be the edge. And if the rise of the edge is happening and is growing, then the changes will be more prevalent because the storage needs to be different and the storage needs to reside differently. So with this rise of the edge, the point is the centralized data that we store centralized will no longer be an option because there's so many things that need to be stored, need to be processed. There will be few factors that will be a challenge for it. The first thing is really latency, right? Secondly is bandwidth, the cost of centralizing data, and compliance. When there are billions of devices, when there are so many devices that comes and generate data and need to be processed, it has to be a different architecture and different way data will be stored and processed and managed. I want to bring you through a journey on video surveillance in the context of video surveillance industry. The audience today, we are all very familiar with video surveillance. So we're the first generation of video surveillance adopt a lot of technology from the broadcast industry. And as it evolved into digital, you started adoptions of technologies like the PC technologies, right? And then on the third era, we started to see what we call convergence, the VMS, a lot of the technology that comes from the networking and a lot of this technology is starting to converge. We believe that in the next wave of technology really has to do with connected solutions between IoT, between cloud, big data, AI, and all those things will come together. So in Seagate, we have a view of the market, which I would just draw a comparison to the audience here. I mean, to the presentation that we've seen earlier on. So basically, there are different views of from the different companies in terms of how they look at the market. But this is the way that we are seeing the market evolving. So there are three tiers that we are looking at here today. We have an endpoint, we have an edge, and we have a core. In some company or some industry leaders, they actually probably put endpoint as like edge node, right? Or edge, they call it edge domain or edge gateway. And core, they might call it cloud. The point that if you look at it is every tier here is important, right? So you have an endpoint which do a lot of capturing and sensing. Data created from drone, from robots, from IoT would not be able to store everything on the cloud because even for example, autonomous car, the data is generated instantly and needs to be computed. It cannot be stored in the cloud. Everything in the cloud. So you need an edge point to be able to do those filtering, processing, right, and some sort of storage in it. And a lot of that will be also stored to the backend, which is the core. Every tier has a different requirements when it comes to storage. I will call it the endpoint will be more focusing on the manageability in terms of how, because the devices can be outside, right? Secondly, on the edge is a lot of security, quality of service performance, right? And on the core is a lot of focus on how do you retain the data, how do you be able to manage the data well, and these are the differences in terms of how the market is evolving. So, I mean, when it comes to data, there are 6 points that we are seeing that we are working with very closely with our partners to enable on. Because as you all know, Seagate is probably working with a lot of the partners that you are already working with today because we powered most of the storage medium or storage technology today. So we as a company, we continue to focus a lot in terms of the capacity, the data security, the workload optimization, right? The data management, and it's also in terms of the data preservation of the data, which is very important. So for us, we constantly focus in these 6 areas. That is why, I mean, these are the few technologies that we've been working very closely with the industry and working very closely for many years to enable. So the first thing that I want to share with you is really our next phase of recording technology called HAMR. So everybody knows hard drive, right? The technology of hard drive has been, with the current technology called perpendicular magnetic recording, is actually at a stage at the edge of at the peak. So the next phase to be able to enable all this capacity growth, as you see, with all the data that will be generated, you need obviously higher capacity to power those cloud data centers, to power those devices that can take in more storage, right? So we have a technology called HAMR, which is called Heat-Assisted Magnetic Recording. So this technology is already proven, and we already ship the products through our client, right? This is the next technology that would enable potentially a single drive that goes up to probably more than 20, 30 terabytes per drive, right? This enables our partners and the industry to address the need of storage capacity to cater to those growth. Secondly, when you talk about the workload optimization, right? Because every workload right now is different, right? You have different devices, the devices that only store or devices that learn and analyze. So therefore, you need technology that be able to focus and purpose-built for those applications so you can be able to address those needs and not drop on performance. To cater that, we have two technologies. We constantly created products or solutions that is optimized specifically for those applications. And just also recently, we also announced in the market that we actually have a technology called Mark II. It's a multi-actuator. Basically, in short, it's parallelism. In a drive, basically, usually you have one actuator. But right now, we'll be able to do two at the same time. And this technology enables increase of IOPS for data centers customers, for customers that want to power the cloud and be able to access data faster. Everybody talk about security. When you have data connected, when you have device connected, security becomes very important because I think everybody known and seen a lot of attacks, a lot of incidents happening recently. But I want to draw you to the attention of data security, not data in motion or data in transit, but data at rest. Today, a lot of cloud providers, a lot of customers or corporations face issue not only about hacking, but it's also about the data, the actual data where they store is being jeopardized, right? And also backdoor from that. So data at rest is an important part because just like in Europe with GDPR, there are two things that the European market is focusing right now when it comes to GDPR. One is encryption. Two is how do you retire data, right? So Seagate is probably one of the industry leader in data security, data at rest. We have a full range of products that is able to provide encryption on the fly and be able to provide customers with solutions to better build a secured solution. And in fact, some of the solutions you might already seen through our partners and our OEM partners like the Dell, IBM, and all those guys, right? The third is really data integrity. So we talk about how important metadata and data are going to be in the future, right? And right now too, because it's no longer a pure video data. You're talking about more than that. So with our technology, like read after write raw technology, so we are be able to make sure the data that is written is being verified and checked before to validate that. So it makes sure the data integrity is at the highest level. The next one is going to be data management. Almost all VMSs or all surveillance systems right now focus a lot on managing devices that is out there because you have so many devices that's connected, IoT, sensors. Same for hard drive, right? When we ask a lot of customers, what contribute the biggest cost to one of the deployment that you have in your project? Storage. When you have storage, inside you have hard drive, right? When you have a lot of hard drive, how do you manage the hard drive? So basically for us, we work very closely with some of our partners to enable what we call health monitoring, right? From a drive level, with the integration of API with the customer system, that will be able to tell you the health status of each drive, leveraging our big data algorithm and the thing that we have known, that we built internally for a long time. We talk about AI, we talk about deep learning. Our company, we build a lot of drives, right? We build a lot of storage systems. We also analyze a lot of this through our big data and deep learning analysis engine within the company. Last but not least is data preservation. For many reasons, customers need data, not only for the analysis reason or what is for compliance reason or for forensic reason. So Seagate is one of the company, hard drive manufacturers in the world that provide data recovery services, right? So not only Seagate provides you with solution, power your storage solution, delivering you the technology that you need, we also make sure that we support and ensure that the data is preserved, which is important for government, important for banking, important for a lot of the key vertical customers. So in short, basically we are known as a hard drive company. right? But we are not. We are more than a hard drive company. We actually work very closely with ecosystem partners, with partners like INNODEP, with partners like a lot of our hardware partners to deliver and power their solutions. So we have a few areas that not known by a lot of people that we deliver. So of course, number one is really the device innovation. The SSD, the hard drive that goes into your solution that powered all the cloud, Amazon, Google, Azure, Microsoft, and all these cloud providers in the world, right? At the same time, we also provide storage solutions, right? Storage, large-scale, high-density storage solution, long-term storage for big data, and also the last piece is really the services and the API that really support the customers as a tier of stack that really support and enable them. I talk about edge, I talk about endpoint, I talk about edge, I talk about core. So what I really want to share with you is how our product addresses those requirements. So let's talk about the edge. In your edge, you have a simple requirement like compute, right? So you have a requirement right now with NVR and all those edge devices supporting deep learning, supporting AI. You need some form of compute. We recently launched a product called Skyhawk AI. So Skyhawk AI is a high capacity, high performance, high reliability, optimized product for that purpose, right? It delivers higher processing for the AI workloads. Secondly is for DVR and VR, really the common recording. We have a product called Skyhawk. And we also realize there's a growth of edge cloud appliance on the front end where the customers is using simply an appliance or cloud server and storage, which we have a product called Exhaust. And Exhaust is the product that's being used for most of the enterprise storage today. And let's look at the core, which is the back end. On the core and the back end, basically you have server, right? Server that you need IOPS. We have a product called Nitro. We have a solution called Nitro. It's an enterprise class SSD, the drive that is being used as a caching, hot data caching, and an OS drive for those those requirements for the high performance compute space. When it comes to storage space, we have Exhaust that power the SAN storage, the NAS storage, and we talk about archive. So the archive that I talk about is slightly different from the archive that we heard just now early on from the speaker. So the archive that we are talking about here is active archiving, because there are still some tier of customers, some customers that would like to access the data, but not as frequent, what we call cold data. So we have a product called Exhaust Archive that is low power, lower performance, but still be able to allow you to access the data. Because if you want to enable big data, you need to have a lot of data that being stored and being shared, so you'll be able to retrieve that and do data crunching and analysis. So with that, we actually have solutions to actually support the customers on that. So in short, what I want to share with you is really surveillance is no longer one product. It's really a stack of a suite of product portfolio that based on your requirement. And the market is really evolving with all the evolutions, with the evolutions of the surveillance right now with IoT, with cloud, and all those things. It's really we need to work together as an ecosystem. We need to work together as a partners to be able to understand what is best for the application, what are the base technology and technology that we can enable to support your needs, and every requirement will be different. So this slide is to sum up the entire stack, entire different type of requirement, and our product that is being positioned there. So in closing, I have a few things, right? Number one is, as you can see, I shared about edge computing. Edge computing is going to be the wave next moving forward, number one. Number two is the storage is going to change. So with that, we really need to work together and as an ecosystem. I mean, we are very glad to be part of the event today, and I mean, we are here to support and to help address the needs of the market. Thank you very much.